Let's welcome in our guests. We have with us now Mayuresh Joshi, Gaurav Vissa and Sumit Bagadia. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to NDTV Profit. Sumit, let's start with you. What are your top picks for the day?
Hi, good morning, Anisha. Well, I have three picks for the day. The first one is from Auto Space, and that is Bajaj Auto. Bajaj Auto is looking good on charts. Now, looking at the chart, it seems that immediately we can see upside move till 2910, or even we can see levels of around 3000 in next couple of days. Purely for a trading perspective, if anyone wants to initiate a position in Bajaj Auto, then that should be on buy side. One can initiate long position in Bajaj Auto at CMP with a small stop loss to be placed at around 2750 levels on lower side for an immediate upside till 2910 levels. And if 2910 is taken away convincingly, then we can see 3000 levels in next couple of days. The second pick for the day is Glenmark Pharma, and that is on sell side. Yesterday we saw a sell-off in a Glenmark, and from higher levels we have seen a selling pressure in the counter. Immediately there is a possibility that we might see levels of around 880 or even 875 in next couple of days. Purely for a trading perspective, one can initiate sell position in Glenmark at CMP, or if there is a pullback of around 5 to 10 points from present levels, then that can be used as a selling opportunity with a stop loss to be placed at 930 levels on higher side for an immediate downside till 880 levels. The third pick for the day is from IT space, and that is Wipro. Wipro is looking good on charts. Immediately we can see levels of around 515, and then overall we are expecting it to move up till 530 levels. Purely for a trading perspective, one can initiate long position in Wipro at CMP with a small stop loss to be placed at 470 levels on lower side for the upside target of 530 levels in next couple of days.
All right. Three picks from Sumit. Gaurav, what are your top picks?
Good morning. My first recommendation will be buy on Ultratech Cement. We have seen strong long positions getting built. 3800 was the immediate resistance. It's closed above these levels. With the stop loss of 37.75, one can go long for targets of 3920. Second would be sell on Adani Ports. We have seen the stock gyrating between 295 305. Is given a breakdown yesterday. 300 call options in immense selling. So using 299 stop loss, one can play for trading targets of 282. Third would be sell on NTPC. Again, unwinding has been followed by fresh shorts. That is one of the more dangerous derivatives data. It's broken the crucial support levels of 160. 160 put commanded the highest Y concentration. So now using 160 as stop loss, one can play for targets of 145.
Gaurav, just wanted to ask you about the F&O volumes that actually picked up yesterday. It's just the fourth, fifth day of the series. Still, did you expect such high volumes?
When markets are near the very crucial point, inflection points, we have seen 8980, 9000 levels acting as strong resistance in past few occasions. So it was expected the volumes would be on the higher side. They are much more than what was anticipated, what was expected. But yes, some incremental from the averages was expected yesterday.
Right. Mayuresh, what are your calls for the day?
Morning, Pankaj. So largely within the large cap universe and the auto space in general, Maruti in the four-wheeler space looks a very promising bet to us. The volumes that we've seen pick up significantly over the past few quarters on the back of good launches. And the expectation largely is with the import component coming down drastically, the margin should sustain going forward. So Maruti remains one of our preferred picks within the four-wheeler universe. Yes, demonetization has played its part, specifically on the two-wheeler volume business. The volume degrowth has been quite sharp in Q3, and we're still expecting a soft Q4 to come through for the larger universe. But Hero MotoCorp is something that I'll still continue to prefer on two counts. A, I think the kind of launches that Hero is expected to do over the next few quarters will hold it in good stead. Secondly, again, I think in terms of the remonetization exercise and the Rabi output being extremely encouraging, I think they'll have more disposable income in terms of the semi-urban and the rural areas, and that should help propping up its volume. Though input costs have gone up, as prices are expected to go up as well in terms of the discretionary demand going up in the next few quarters, I think the leverage should play on the balance sheet. So Hero is something that I'm liking. From the metals universe, Hindalco, I think it's been a very strong performer for the year gone by. But again, I think if you look at the dynamics, Novelis has given a very strong indication of free cash flows of $350 odd million. Capex is close to $250 odd million in the coming fiscal. The net debt to EBITDA levels are close to 4. You're looking at a large part of the debt being refinanced, $1.8 billion refinanced in addition to the 2.5 already done. So that entails a lot of interest savings on the balance sheet, and the Indian operations are doing seemingly fine. So with access to captive coal and bauxite mines, the cost rationalization should continue. So Hindalco on declines is something I prefer. From the mid-cap universe and the cement space, JK Lakshmi has posted strong set of numbers. So my take is that the volume growth should be quite substantial as the capacity in Durg expands to 2.7 MT. They've already got an in-house captive power unit. So with that, I think the power requirements are substantially lower compared to the larger universe. At 750 rupees a ton, it is much cheaper compared to 900 rupees per ton for that the entire cement universe probably undertakes at this point of time, and utilization levels have picked up meaningfully. So it's at around 80% compared to 70-72 for the universe at large. Valuation is very, very attractive. So JK Lakshmi is something I'll prefer. Along with Blue Star, I think Blue Star, the numbers are expected to be very, very encouraging in terms of volume growth. With a very hot summer season expected in front of us, my own take is that air conditioner makers are going to have a very good time in terms of both price as well as volume action, and with cash infusion from the Blue Star Infotech coming through on their balance sheet, I think that should sustain a 16-17% top line growth. So Blue Star is something that I'll prefer from the
Right.
market.
Just wanted to know Blue Star or Blue Star Infotech?
No, it's Blue Star. With the kind of corporate action that has happened, I think there is going to be cash infusion on Blue Star's balance sheet from Blue Star Infotech.
All right, so we've got Mayuresh's pick, and one of his picks was Hindalco. There is some news development on Hindalco as well. It is looking at fundraising to the tune of about $500 million. So it will open its QIB book today. 500 million will translate to about 3,337 crore rupees, and this is going to be via issue of fresh shares. The price range for the QIP is between 183 to 189.45 rupees a share. And after the QIP, there will be a dilution to the extent to 7.9 to 8.1%. Now, Hindalco proposes to use these funds to reduce its debt and for its working capital needs. The book running lead managers for this issue include Citi, Axis Capital, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan and SBI Capital. So once the QIP book closes, we'll have greater clarity on how much money they've raised and what is the dilution that finally takes place.
Right, Anisha, if you just look at Hindalco, what I could pick up from my banking sources is that the response has been pretty good so far, and the book is likely to go through quite soon. So one rupee decline, that's what the pre-open session is indicating, but it's really had a great run right from the levels of 70. It's done pretty well to about 190 odd levels. Another stock that will be in focus will be Reliance Industries. Now, Jio had its first analyst meet. This is only for Reliance Jio. Reliance Limited continues to have analyst meet after every quarter, but for Jio, particularly, they held the first analyst meet. It was held at the office they hold in Bombay. They showcased the different services that they have, the sort of plans that they have, as well as the big facility that Reliance Jio has. So some of the key comments are that Jio is aiming for over a 50% market share in terms of revenue. Remember, currently Bharti is the number one player with 32% market share, so they are expecting to beat that. Reliance Jio expects over a 50% EBITDA margins by FY21 when they start to get the benefit of this entire scale. They aim that their capacity or they aim to build a capacity by 2020-21, which could be about 60% of India's data needs. They are continuously seeing a decline as far as their voice revenues are concerned, and they expect it to become quite negative. But overall, they expect data to do very, very well. So that's been their view. Telecom market is likely to grow 50% over the next 5 years. This is unlike what most of the industry participants are expecting. So they are expecting a big increase as far as telecom revenues are concerned, as far as telecom growth is concerned. Reliance at the pre-open session is indicating a 5 rupee higher start. Remember that Reliance is one stock that did not fall yesterday despite markets correcting the way they did from the day's highest point.
All right, so that was the news development on Reliance Industries. Let's also talk about another stock from the healthcare space, and that is Apollo Hospitals. Now, Integrated, it is a holder in Apollo Hospitals, is going to sell 84.4 lakh shares in Apollo Hospital. 84.4 lakh shares is closer to about 6%. Okay, there is some development on Reliance. We'll quickly go over that as well. There is an intra-promoter exchange of shares that Reliance Industries is proposing. They're going to exchange shares of nearly 119 crore rupees. The transfer will not lead to change in promoter holding in the company. Now, 15 entities are looking to transfer about 36.7% shares to 8 promoter group companies. So there is an exchange of shares, but the promoter holding is likely to stay the same. Let's go back to Apollo Hospitals. Now, the news development on Apollo Hospitals is that one of the large holders of Apollo Hospital shares, which is Integrators, is looking to sell 84.4 lakh shares in Apollo Hospitals, which translates to about 6% of its equity. And of its stake. Now, Integrated is an arm of Malaysian sovereign fund Khazanah, and Khazanah arm owns about 10.9% stake in Apollo Hospitals as on December 2016. The price for the offer is between 1,267 rupees a share to 1,320 rupees a share, close to where the stock is trading at this point of time. Deutsche Bank is the sole book runner for this deal.
Right, there are a couple of stocks that will be in focus. So first is EID Parry, which gets ex-dividend today, which is about 3 rupees in terms of ex-dividend. Maruti is likely to launch its new Baleno RS today at 6 p.m. today. So that's a new launch from Maruti. It will be the second in this current calendar year. There are two particular approvals that US FDA website has uploaded. One is for Aurobindo Pharma. That's a drug for treatment and prevention of HIV/AIDS. It's a very big drug, but there are a lot of players into this drug. So don't really think the street would be excited about this. Dr. Reddy's has got an interesting drug, progesterone capsule. Now, there are about only 3 to 4 players into this drug, so this one could be interested, but I think the drug size over here is small. I tried to find from the innovator if they have indicated anything, but nothing of that sort has happened. Deepak Nitrate will consider the price of QIP. NMDC will consider its first interim dividend on March 7th. March 6th is when Coal India would consider dividend. So all of these PSUs would be in focus. We are expecting the markets to open in just about the next few seconds. You should start to get the first prices. First tick should be on the lower side. That's the opening bell for you. 16 points down, 8883. That's where Nifty has opened right now. HDFC on your screen is down 6 rupees. M&M is down about a rupee or so. Aurobindo Pharma, maybe on the back of that approval, is slightly on the higher side. Hindalco is up around 1.8%, 193. Remember, they have done a successful QIP. It's now up 2%, so they have completed that QIP. I think it's the top gainer as well. 193, 194 for Hindalco, 2% higher. 5 lakh shares already traded for Hindalco. What I can pick up is that there was a lot of demand for Hindalco, and maybe that's why you're seeing this sort of a move coming in. 2% higher right now for Hindalco, 4 to 5 rupees higher. A successful QIP is what the company has done. Reliance Industries is the next top gainer, 12 rupees higher, 1,249. That's a strong move. Remember, they had an analyst meet yesterday. Some comments about targets being shared, and maybe that's why it's up around 11 rupees. 2.8 lakh shares traded for Reliance Industries. Apollo Hospital, I think the deal has gone through. 9 million shares already traded right now. So 84 lakh shares was the deal, which is 8.4 million, and it's gone through. 3.3% on the lower side, 1268. It's about 4% down. Maruti, 9 to 10 rupees lower, 5,909. But I think the street would just wait for that launch to come in, and only then would probably take a call. 5,910 for Maruti. Aurobindo Pharma, 4 rupees higher. They've got an approval. Maybe that's why it's up 4 rupees or so. Let's look at Dr. Reddy's as well. That's an interesting drug, but the size over there is very, very low. It's still up about 6 rupees or so. That's about 5 to 6 rupees on the higher side for Dr. Reddy's. In terms of some of the other gainers and what's happening in terms of some of the stocks. So Hindalco is still the top gainer. A to Z Infra Engineering has got an order. It's up around 6 rupees right now. Nalco, which is National Aluminium Company Limited, is up about 1.7%. There has been an upgrade on Bharti Infratel by CLSA, which we played out earlier. It's also visible at the bottom of your screen in terms of flashes. It's up around 2.5% right now. That's a big upgrade. Jubilant Foodworks, Goldman did an upgrade yesterday. It was up 3 to 4% yesterday. It's followed by another 1.5 to 2% move today. So that's a name which is doing decently well right now. Kaveri Seeds is up about 1.2, 1.3 odd %. Anisha, any other names that you can pick up with the good volume action?
Well, you've mentioned most of those, but we've seen good up move in Hindalco, which is up nearly 2.5%, and Nalco as well, which is up 2%. Reliance Industries is up 1.5%. Tata Motors had a strong start, up 1%. Apollo Hospitals is, of course, the biggest loser. It's down about 4%. Infosys is seeing some selling pressure, and so is, I think, TCS. And Infosys is down about 2% now. ITC, another heavyweight, is also facing some selling pressure. It's down about 1%, and on reasonable volumes. Jet Airways and Reliance Communications also continue with their down move. Gaurav, can you tell us what kind of action did we see for the index open interest additions, be it the Nifty or be it the Bank Nifty? Because a day earlier, the markets made new highs but closed at near the low points of the day. So we had a large bearish engulfing kind of a candle. What were the open interest additions being seen for the Nifty and the Bank Nifty?
Well, there have been a decent amount of shorts that I've seen getting built in Nifty yesterday. Bank Nifty was also quite severe, and I expect 20,500. If that is reached and sustained below that, then we can have another round of fresh selling, and we can see significant OI getting added, significant shorts being added below 20,500 mark, and Bank Nifty would be the one that will decide whether Nifty breaks 8,800 or whether it again bounces back towards 8,950. So I think today it will be very crucial. A close below 20,500 would mean that Bank Nifty would fall by another 500 to 600 points.
All right, so those are the levels to watch out for both the Bank Nifty as well as the Nifty itself. Sumit, I think your one of the picks that you had was a sell on Glenmark. What do you make of the kind of move that took place in Biocon yesterday? It just saw a meltdown and a big negative candle. At this point of time, also Biocon is trading weak. What would you do with Biocon?
Yes, Anisha, absolutely. We had seen a fall in the counter, and from higher levels we have seen a drastic fall in the counter. I think immediately there is a possibility that after a long time we have seen such correction in the Biocon stock. So there is a possibility that we might see some more correction in the stock. There is a possibility that on downside we can see levels of around 980 or 990 in next couple of days. I think immediately those who have taken long positions, once they can exit and they can wait for lower levels to initiate fresh long positions in Biocon. Now looking at the chart, immediately it seems that downside there is a possibility that we might see levels of around 990 or 980 in next couple of days. Overall, it should find support somewhere at around 980, 970 levels, and from there again we will see pullback in the counter. So the overall range at present is 970 on lower side to 1080 on higher side. This would be the immediate range for the counter for next couple of weeks. And on downside, if anyone wants to initiate a long position, then they can initiate at around 970, 980 levels. Presently, it's looking weak. One can initiate sell for the targets of 980 levels.
Mayuresh, what will be your call on Reliance Industries? It's also the top gainer today, up 3% right now.
So we remain optimistic, Pankaj. Let's have a look at this. $40 billion spent on both the core and non-core businesses, and a lot of this was into WIP. Now they're all getting converted into productive assets. Even in the core business, almost $1 billion or $2 billion are remaining to get converted. So if that happens, the ROEs, which were subdued at 11.5%, should expand meaningfully. Secondly, even on the telecom part, the 2 lakh crore that has been spent, the certainty in terms of pricing is now what the street is aware about and cognizant of. So again, I think if one goes by statistics on the kind of subscriber base they've got, and if they're able to retain even 60% of that, assuming more subscribers coming in over the next 1 year, and Reliance probably looking at increasing its RMS share along with its SMS share increasing significantly in the free period. My own sense is that in the first half of FY18, you should probably see synergies even from the telecom vertical coming in. So I think everything's coming together for Reliance in the next few quarters. The off-gas cracker should get commissioned. You're probably looking at the Petco gasification by the end of FY18 getting commissioned as well. So largely, again, I think the numbers on a consolidated basis, both from the core and non-core businesses, over the next 4 to 6 quarters should improve drastically, and that should reflect on the earnings. and ROE is expanding meaningfully. So again, I think Reliance is something that I remain very, very optimistic about, and a clear disclaimer, we hold this stock in our funds.
Right. You mentioned about Hindalco in the top picks. What is your call after the 2.6% move, the news flow regarding the QIP? Is it positive?
Absolutely, and again, I think if you look at the core structure that Hindalco is going through, specifically on its Novelis operations, the debt refinancing, as I mentioned earlier, is a big positive in terms of interest cost savings. Secondly, I think in terms of its free cash flow generation, $350 million is what the management is pointing out, which is significant when you compare that to key statistics like how the net debt to EBITDA will pan out, and it's already looking very, very good in terms of 4 times, and that is the levels that the management was aiming for. Third, I think even if you look in terms of the core business for Novelis, the beverages or the can business is probably facing a few headwinds, but the auto line business, I think it's getting fully commissioned, and with the end of FY18, 25% is what the management expects it to contribute to the Novelis top line. So again, I think Novelis doing well, LME pricing holding up. I think you've already seen news of Chinese smelters shutting down for environmental concerns, and also because the PVC production there, because of the uncertainty of the caustic soda availability, has gone down drastically, and that is why you're probably even seeing alumina prices move up significantly. So I think aluminum prices should hold, which means that the realization should remain constant for the Indian operations, along with the cost optimizations on the coking coal and the bauxite mine. To put things in perspective, again, Pankaj, I think Nalco also looks interesting from a numbers perspective, because if you look at the alumina production for Nalco, it's 2.3 MT. That around 0.9 goes into aluminium production, and the rest is actually sold domestically in the export markets. China has actually imported around 2.2 MT of alumina so far in 9 months, and because of all the concerns that I enumerated, I think those numbers are most likely to go up. So with prices firming up, Nalco also stands to be a big beneficiary in terms of the alumina production, and that can be a dark horse also in the metal space going forward.
Right, but Nalco has done well. Still, you would like this name?
No, again, I think optimistically, as I said, I think looking at numbers going forward and the pricing at which alumina can actually move ahead, both in terms of supply constraints from China and prices holding up, and Nalco actually having a substantial share of alumina. As I mentioned, I think 2.2 is the capacity that they've got, and only 0.9 goes for the production of aluminium. So it's got both aluminium as well as alumina production. So again, I think both the synergies should work, because aluminium prices are firming up on the LME, and as alumina prices move up, because I was checking the sites yesterday, if you look at the Russian Steel Authority, the Rusal site, and you check out a lot of prices, even ex-China FOB, the prices are hovering around $320, $340 a ton, and if that goes up significantly, that has a huge impact in terms of how earnings will pan out. So purely based on what is happening internationally in terms of the inventory as well as pricing, I think Nalco would probably look extremely good, both in terms of how the earnings will pan out for this quarter and the next. And as volume realizations along with volume utilizations pick up meaningfully, I think that can reflect on the balance sheet. So it might have moved up, but again, the numbers will be very, very interesting for Nalco, and that can be a dark horse actually.
Right. Sumit, in terms of Bharti Infratel, we're getting a lot of brokerage upgrades. So Credit Suisse upgraded a few days back. Today it's CLSA who has upgraded Bharti Infratel. Do you think the sell-off over there is overdone?
I think, Pankaj, it's too early to say that the sell-off over there is overdone, because looking at the chart, it seems that the structure is weak, and it is given a breakdown below 300 levels. Now, it has taken support at around 280 levels. So, till the time 280 is not taken away, there is a possibility that the counter might move in a small range of around 280 to 310, 320 on higher side. This would be the immediate range for Infratel. I think a fresh buy should be initiated only if the stock is able to give initially close above 300 levels, and overall the final conviction levels would be 320. 320 would be the reversal point for Infratel, above which we will see good upside move in the counter, in which we can see levels of around 350 also. But till that time, 320 is not taken away on higher side, and 280 is not taken away on downside, it will move in a range of around 30 to 40 points. Either side breakout or breakdown will give fresh move in the counter, and either side breakout or breakdown will give a move around 30 to 40 points. Immediately for next couple of days, it seems that it will move in a range.
Right. What will be your call on Reliance Industries, Sumit? In terms of fundamental view, we got it from Mayuresh. Can you just tell us technical levels to watch out for?
Pankaj, technically it has given a breakout after a period of 8 years, and now it seems that the counter is headed for 1500 levels. Immediately 1300 would act as a small resistance for the counter. If these levels are taken away, surely we will see levels of around 1450 1500 soon. So overall this counter is looking very strong. If there is some correction in next couple of days or in next weeks till 1220 1200 levels, then that should be used as a buying opportunity, and on higher side 1300 will act as an immediate resistance, and if these levels are taken away, then we will see a move around at least 8 to 10% in next couple of weeks.
All right, Gaurav, what do you see on the charts for DLF? It saw a 10% move a day earlier. It was down 10%. And the candle is very large. The volumes are also very large. Based on retracements and seeing the ride that it had from levels of about 100, little less than 100, where do you think the stock is headed now?
Well, the immediate resistance is at 145, 146. So I would rather buy above 146, have a stop loss of 143, play for us of 151. If 150 is held, then I think the serious up move will come only if it holds on to 150, 152 levels. Then we can expect a move towards 160, 162. But for trading per se, let's say for a day or two, one can initiate only above 146.
All right, so watch 146 levels closely. Mayuresh, what do you do with some of the media stocks that had a good run, the likes of Sun TV or Z? Now, they've come off the highs. Do you think they will see correction, or do you see them only consolidating? Because, you know, the impact of demonetization, media companies have said, yes, ad spends have been affected. This may just go on for the fourth quarter as well. What would you do with ZTV and Sun TV?
Oh, quite a possibility, Anisha, and Q4 will see some impact come through in terms of ad spend, because a lot of FMCG companies where the ad budgets are dependent for a lot of these media companies have come down drastically. Q4 will clearly be a reflection of the same. But again, I think if you hold a larger picture, my sense is that the ad revenue growth should come back to normalization as the rollout of digitalization is taking place in terms of adding on new subscribers as well. There, I think again, media companies like Z will have a very strong upper hand. So again, I think Z is something that I'll remain positive about. I think with the selling of the sports business and the losses off the balance sheet from FY18 onwards, my entire sense is that as normalization happens both on the ad spends as well as on the subscriber base going forward, I think the realizations should improve very, very reasonably. So I think Z remains one of my picks, and it remains in our funds. Even from the print media space, I think Jagran is something that I've liked for a period of time. I continue to like that. With its radio arm getting listed, the financials look extremely encouraging on that front. Yes, I think there also the impact can be quite drastic, because I think it's the smaller traders that probably have their ads placed in local newspapers. But Dainik Jagran has held on pretty well. The operating margin in excess of 35%. We're looking at Midday Multimedia, which is an arm of Jagran. They are holding off with operating margin in excess of 20%. The other publications like Nai Dunia and the others like Punjab Jagran as well, they've got very good, impressive operating performances as well. So I think if you leave aside the aberration in Q4, the entire sense again builds up that post quarter 1, quarter 2 of FY18, as ad revenues start getting normalized, I think the earnings trajectory can actually expand quite meaningfully. And as the demerger of the radio business takes place, I think the company can focus more on its core publication of Dainik Jagran, which is doing exceptionally well in terms of both readership, and the subscriber base has increased both on volume growth and cover back prices actually going up.
Sumit, what do you make of the moves in some of the textile names like Raymond, which saw a down move of 3%? I think in opening today also Raymond was weak, and Arvind. Some of these textile stocks which have been buzzing because of, you know, the retail space looking up. What would you do with these two counters?
Well, as far as view on Raymond is concerned, it's purely moving on a news. It has given correction from higher levels. Yesterday we saw a news from news in Raymond. Now looking at the chart, it seems after a sharp upside rally, there is a possibility that we might see some more profit booking in the counter, and in which we can see levels of around 570, or even there is a possibility that we might see levels of around 530 in next couple of weeks. I think immediately it's better to avoid fresh long positions in Raymond, and those who've taken positions, they can book on their profits or exit in the long positions, because looking at the chart, it seems that there is a possibility that we might see a fall till 530 levels. But as far as view on Arvind is concerned, I think Arvind is looking good on charts, and from here we can see a upside move in the counter. Immediately 400 will act as a psychological resistance for the counter, and if 400 is taken away, once 400 is taken away, we will see a good upside move, wherein we will see levels of around 420, 430. So Arvind is looking good to me. I think one can initiate long positions in Arvind at CMP, or if by chance there is a dip of around 5 to 8 points from present levels, then that can be used as a good buying opportunity. On downside, the stock has good support at around 370, 367 levels. Till the time these levels are not taken away, one should be on long side for immediate upside till 400 levels, and if 400 is taken away on closing basis, then we can see extended move till 415, 420 levels. So Arvind is looking good to me.
Sumit, what will be your call on Jet Airways? That's a stock which has done well, but yesterday gave a crack. Is that a buying opportunity?
Yes, absolutely, Pankaj. I think Jet Airways is looking good. Yeah, we have seen some correction from higher levels, but this is a buying opportunity. I think one can initiate long positions in Jet Airways at CMP, or if by chance there is a dip of around 10 to 15 points from present levels, then that can be used as a good buying opportunity, because Jet Airways has good support at around 410, 400 levels. So till the time these levels are not taken away, Jet Airways is a good buy for an immediate upside till 450 levels. Now immediate resistance for the counter is at 450. So if 450 is taken away, once if 450 is taken away in next couple of days, we will see extended move till 480 or 490 levels. So overall the counter is looking good for the targets of 480. One can initiate long positions at CMP, or if there is a dip of around 8 to 10 points, then that can be a good buying opportunity.
Right. Any view on SpiceJet or Interglobe Aviation?
See, Spice is also looking good to me. I think SpiceJet can give a good move in next couple of weeks. Immediately, the stock is trading at around 73 levels. From here, there is a possibility that we might see levels of around 71 or 70. But the overall view on the counter is bullish. On the high side, the stock has resistance at around 78 levels. Once if the counter is able to break 78 on closing basis, we will see a good move in the counter, in which we can see a move around 10%. That means there is a possibility that we might see levels of 85 and 88 in next couple of weeks. So if anyone wants to initiate a position in SpiceJet, then that should be on buy side. One can initiate long positions at CMP, or on dips till 70, one can initiate long for the targets of 78 and 85 levels.
Right. Gaurav, in terms of F&O data, what is the sense that you get? Do you think that yesterday was long unwinding, or fresh short activity, at least in the mid-cap space?
It was more of unwinding, but there were some pockets where we saw strong short positions also seen getting built. So I would say that one has to be cautious at the selection, what particular stock one selects, because there are some pockets, some sectors that are seeing intense pressure, and something like banking space, I think that is where the real pain would lie. Metal space would be one if it holds on to the levels, because metal space was down only because of unwinding. There were no shorts, but the moment it starts seeing fresh short positions, and I think that can give you some amount of pain. It is in the uptrend, so a rupture in the trend would give you more selling opportunities.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking out time for us. Just before we go, Mayuresh, let's start with you. Any disclosures?
Pankaj, the stocks we've discussed, I do not have any personal holdings, but it is possible we've discussed this with our clients, and we may be holding these stocks in our funds.
Sumit, for you?
Pankaj, no personal holdings, but the stocks which we have discussed on NDTV profit, and especially the frontliner stocks we discussed with our clients also. So it's better to assume that our clients might have positions on the stocks which we have discussed over here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Gaurav, for you?
No personal holdings in the stocks discussed today, but it is possible that we may have recommended to our clients at LKP.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking out time for us.